Item SCP-5984 Clearance Level 3. Clearance Containment Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-5984 poses a significant threat to the Veil's integrity, due to its size, capabilities and resemblance to a pop cultural figure. Therefore, the Ethics Committee and Overseer Council have jointly approved the implementation of Protocol Circuit Breaker. Once secured, SCP-5984 is to be transported to Armed Relic Area and Containment Area 2. Specific containment measures are currently pending HMCL approval. Description: SCP-5984 is a 6.5-meter autonomous organism, resembling Optimus Prime from Paramount Pictures, Transformers adaptations. SCP-5984 was originally non-anomalous, used as a model to promote Dark of the Moon, the then latest film entry in the series. However, after being acquired by the Church of Maxwellism through currently unknown means, it has been extensively modified from its original purpose. These modifications include replacement of non-functional joints with articulated, tungsten alloyed steel titanium alloyed armor reinforcing various parts of its body, functional laser and plasma weaponry, such as shoulder cannons and an ion blaster, replica on its back, integration of an Asimov-class artificial intelligence, capable of speech in a voice similar to actor Peter Cullen. SCP-5984's primary purposes and defensive measure against Neo-NLKIC attacks on Maxwellist churches and operational fronts, with a 98.5% average success rate across all documented skirmishes. Because of its weaponry, these skirmishes invariably result in extensive collateral damage and fatalities, requiring costly cleanup and disinformation measures. In cases where it is in areas with civilian presence, SCP-5984 will check its fire or otherwise minimize use of its artillery in favor of precision melee attacks. Despite the presence of functional wheels on its lower half, SCP-5984 lacks vehicle mode capacity, presumably due to the laws of mass conservation. Therefore, transportation is achieved solely by foot or activation of the remote teleportation system by Maxwellist operatives. Conventional weapons have little to no effect on SCP-5984 beyond cosmetic damage, but it is able to be temporarily subdued to by electromagnetic pulses. While SCP-5984 has enacted increasingly complex countermeasures in an attempt to mitigate, they have been the most consistently successful stopgap used in Foundation encounters. Thus, their usage has been implemented into Protocol Circuit Breaker. Abridged timeline of significant SCP-5984 events. 20th March 2011. SCP-5984, in its initial non-anomalous form, is installed in, as part of Transformers Dark of the Moon's promotional campaign, 29th June 2011. Transformers Dark of the Moon releases in the United States, 10th July 2011. One day prior to its scheduled removal, SCP-5984 is seized by the Church of Maxwellism. A joint investigation by Hasbro Incorporated and Paramount Pictures, parent company Viacom Incorporated, yields no results. Records of this investigation were seized, and relevant employees amnesticized, retroactively after the events of 8th July 2016. Circa 11th July 2011 to 8th May 2016. SCP-5984 is modified by the Church, 13th May 2016. First skirmish between SCP-5984 and NLKIC forces during a raid on Our Lady of St. Hedwig in Reno, Nevada. The Foundation arrived 1 hour after its conclusion, with the sole surviving NLKITE obliquely referring to SCP-5984 as an artificial abomination, before expiring. Attempts at retrieving statements from Maxwellist members are met with non-compliance. 8 July 2016. First SCP-5984 and NLKITE battle directly witnessed by the Foundation in the streets surrounding Maxwellist Front Company Clockwork Microprocessors in Sunnyvale, California. Mobile Task Force Mu-98 intervened in the skirmish and is met with hostility by the NLKITES, while SCP-5984 does not engage against Foundation personnel. After elimination of all combatants, SCP-5984 dematerializes. Classy amnestics are dispersed among eyewitnesses, with cleanup measure roadwork put into place. 7th May 2017. First discovery of SCP-5984's vulnerability to electromagnetic pulses, after a battle between it and 20 SK Biotype 1 behemoths, at a Maxwellist-controlled power station in Portland, Oregon damages the equipment. This resulted in an electrostatic discharge that fatally electrocuted the Type 1s and renders SCP-5984 incapacitated. Remote teleportation is activated before Foundation personnel can secure SCP-5984. 9th June 2017. The proposal for protocol circuit breaker is submitted to the Overseer Council, who in turn submit it to the Ethics Committee. 12th June 2017. The Ethics Committee approves protocol circuit breaker with a 25-3-2 vote, with Council following suit with a vote of 10-1. Mobile Task Force Omicron 84 is established shortly afterwards. 18th June 2017. First attempt at the implementation of protocol circuit breaker in Chicago, Illinois fails. Further information requires level 4 or higher clearance. 30th August 2017. Person of interest 8365, a high-ranking member of the Church of Maxwellism's Hedwigian denomination presumed to have ties to SCP-5984, agrees to an interview with Foundation personnel. See Interview 5984.